Chapter 701. However, more skeletons came crowding over on Saiba's end. Two of his men set up defenses at once. Two 5-meter-long spears appeared in each man's hand, burning brightly with spiritual flames that pounced on the incoming skeletons. Both men were of peak ambience level, and the skeletons were crushed in an instant. However, there were too many skeletons, and they quickly filled the square again in the blink of an eye. There were even more skeletons charging into the square. Some of the skeletons were taller and broader in size. They even stepped over the other skeletons, pouncing on the crowd. Ryder ran for his life, finally getting to Wilbur before the square was filled with skeletons. Wilbur had already summoned his Thunder Cleaver, clearing over 10 meters in front of him with a single sweep. All the skeletons within that area were turned to dust in an instant. Right after that, however, even more skeletons filled the empty space. Wilbur and Ryder began a massacre of the skeletons. Isabella was in between both of them, trembling at the sight of the crowd. A while later, however, she mustered up the courage to draw out a dagger before channeling all her aura onto the blade. There were little to no skeletons who could even get past Wilbur and Ryder's line of defense, however, and Isabella was just waiting for an opportunity to strike. Just like that, the sprawling square turned into a site for 3 fierce battles. All parties were battling away on their own. The overwhelming sea of skeletons continued to charge forward, threatening to drown them. All that could be heard was the sound of enraged cries every now and then, as well as the explosions erupting with spirit energy and pure force. Wilbur fought on, casting glances at the castle in the sky every now and then. The Arch-King's ghostly shadow glanced over the square coldly, his scepter radiating with a deathly aura. This aura did almost nothing to Wilbur, but Isabella and Ryder might not be able to hold up for very long. "Come with me," Wilbur cried out, still fighting as he made his way over to the castle. There were tens of thousands of these skeletons, and no one knew how long this battle was going to go on. In fact, it seemed like there was no end to these skeletons. The root of the problem here lay in that castle, and the only way of solving that was to enter it. Ryder and Isabella followed closely behind Wilbur, and the three of them began to move toward the castle slowly. It could be seen that the other two groups were trying to get to the castle too. Everyone had the same goal here. The last of the setting sun began to dip, allowing darkness to take over the desert. The Red Sand Clan members guarding the site watched on in terror. The weapons in their hands fell to the ground with a clatter. Just then, dozens of skeleton hands reached up from the sand, pulling the clan members to the ground. Following that, the skeletons crawled out of the sand to pounce on them, tearing them to shreds. At the same time, the air suddenly rang with a tune. It was an ethereal voice of a woman, singing a haunting tune in what seemed like an ancient language. The voice seemed to strike the crowd in their souls, making the listener feel impossibly depressed and hopeless. Isabella even lowered the dagger she was holding, her expression turning numb. Ryder's expression turned solemn as well, but he was able to withstand the effects of the melody with his willpower for the time being. He would not be able to keep that up for very long, though. Wilbur furrowed his brows. This place seemed to be full of tricks. Ryder and Isabella were going to be in danger if this went on. Wilbur made his mind up. He let out a cry as his Thunder Cleaver lit up with energy flames. Wilbur held the cleaver in both hands, swinging it down harshly at the castle.